Greetings. Things might seem absolute shit at the moment. It is going to be the greatest display externally as it's in its death throes. You've only got to look at the astrology at the moment. You've got Black Moon, Lilith straight with Mars, Jupiter straight with the Sun, and much more. Everything lining up. Nothing. It's Capricorn. So yeah, things are going to seem particularly bad at the moment, but it is all an illusion. It's all a mirror. Have you ever fallen in love? Don't want to know the answer. It's just think of the question. Have you fallen in love? Do you feel a fool? You know. But the critical part of that is fall. En, as I've said before, means Lord. When you understand how much is given in clues, in words, I think most of you by now have got the grasp of ment means mind. So when we're talking about enlightenment, for example, we take this in biblical terms. You've got Jesus on the cross. Either side are two robbers, two convicts. They're robbers in the sense of past and future, whereas Christ is in the present, the living God. But you just need to change those two convicts into convictions. What you believe inside yourself, how you feel. Or to put it another way, you think of those two serpents when they are working for you. It's En-Light-En-Ment. Ment is mind. This is why you have words like dementia, because they're taking the mind into different dimensions. You've also got a firmament. It's an as above, so below. The so below is still above within you. It's your heavens. And it is with the mind that you change everything, because the mind, once you hand over the control of that to the Creator, which operates through the pineal gland, and stop listening to the ego mind, which is also the eyes of the deceiver. When you look at the external world, what is going on, which is trying to implant that same idea within you through repetition, these constant signs. Yesterday I went shopping and just totally ignored it, carried on business as usual, no problems. The most bizarre thing was in a hardware shop where the shop owner asked if I needed any help, and I said I'm looking for batteries, obscure size, those little round ones. And he's sort of backing away from me. He's got a mask on, but he's backing away, and you can see the terror in his eyes. You can sort of see the energy is so, or lack of it. But let's look at some fundamental questions. See, fundamental again. So you got ment in there, which means mind. What are you funding? What are you giving your attention to? What are you paying your attention upon? What are you funding with that mentality? So we need to answer. Words are not going to give you the answer, but when you see the idea that words are made up of letters which are nothing more than logos and sigils, hence we have spelling and spells and rights. You have the M. Now if you flip that over, in other words, change its polarity, it changes into something which is actually a double V, a W. There are two words that are used in everyday language. They are your desires, they are your wishes and your wants. So what is desire? Well, when you sire something, now this does not apply to just the male anatomy. We're talking about generic man. It doesn't matter in terms of spirit. There is no individual sexes of male and female. So when you sire something, you create something. When you desire something, it is, you haven't got it, you want it, you wish it, you have lack. So you've got want and wish. And the other big questions you want answers to are who and how, which are connected, which I'll explain in a minute. What, where, when, and why. Now all these words have something in common. They all have the W, which is the inverted M of magnetism, because it's changed polarity. It works with those W's at the front of putting like a magic spell. So if you find out who, you'll also find out how, because it's the same word, just with a W on the outcome instead of at the start. It is the separation of self. When you lose that connection, and your ego mind will convince you and do all it can to convince you that you are your opinions, you are this physical body, and so on. It removes the connection to source. So again, the what, the where, the when, and the why all have that inverted M of magnetism, the W preceding those words. And we often talk about his story, history. Well, what is it? Let's give you an analogy. You've got a long-running soap opera, something like in the UK would be Coronation Street, which started, I think it was way back in the late 50s or early 60s. Now imagine you're a character in that drama that comes in after 5 years. The scene is already set, isn't it? You're interacting in something that's already playing out. Well, this is, the world is a stage. All around you is a stage, and you are a character in a play. A lot of you won't like this realization, but I hope that you will come to realize this. Real eyes is a singular I. You are God in a personified individual form to go through this experience. Things are coming to a head, you could say. Excuse the pun. Or is it a pun, really? There are no such things as coincidences, right down to your name, where you live, the house number, your telephone number, your passport number, your driving licence number. They're all signs. There is an energy that flows through everything. We are not separate from it. This is what this reality is all about. God became man, so man can become God. It is all the long road back home, you could say. And it's always the last place you look, which is inside here. But it has to obviously be in alignment with the heart, the power of Christ, the power and wisdom, the operation, the thing that operates it all in your gut feeling. So the mystery, or the my story in Arabic, has two other names. It's Nibiru and Jupiter. So let's look at Nibiru. What does it end in? It ends with you. It's Lord I-B-I-R. R is Ray or Ra. So Lord I-B-I, Ray, you. So it's what you're projecting out. This is why Nibiru is that sort of unseen thing that's coming that nobody can actually see. Its other name is Jupiter, which is obviously Jupater, Jew father, but don't be fooled by what they refer to as that, because even the term L and the 666 has been flipped over. It's been subjected to the same things as changing magic into wow by inverting the M into a W, changing its polarity. So it's short for jewel. The jewel is your first eye. That's what you should be projecting out into this world. It is proven beyond any doubt that things change in this reality. The unseen, which cannot be measured, changes by how we observe it and how we feel about everything. This is quantum physics. There is numerous proofs of this, not least the double slit experiment. But going back to, so this jewel, this Jew, it means in service of God. Well, where is God, if you want to call it that? It is the creator, it is the pineal gland within sight of you. I mean, look at pineal. Pi is a circle. It's that sepulchre, that dot in the middle of a circle, that centre point, and everything around you. You project out onto the external, and that's what changes reality. It's from the feeling. Now, a lot of this, now I can give you a really a piss poor explanation. I can only try and guide. In this particular video I'm using etymology, but it's totally inadequate really. You'll only know this through experience, individually, one by one. But the Jupiter, that's you as well. You are the son of the Creator. You are the son of God. The Jew is in service of the Pater, Jupiter. But against that you have the deceiver, the ego mind that is trying to trick you. Because this is like a game. If it was a straight race from A to B, for example, just a straight piece of grass and you run down it. Same with a computer game. Your first level, you've mastered that and it gets too easy and gets a bit boring. So the next level you'll put in more obstacles. And this is what this reality is all about, and this is why everything is so ramped up at the moment. This is also nicely explained in Genesis, provided you don't fall for reading it in the terms and through the eyes of the insanity, the mental insanity of religion, because that is all it is. It is totally misleading. It's trying to separate you from source. So when you've got Adam and Eve, we'll think of these as a man, the first man and woman in this sense, but it's an allegorical story, it's not literal. So Adam is your conscious, Eve is your unconscious. This is also where you get the word deceive, because Eve is dying. The unconscious, the conscious is the part that plays and leads. It represents the divine masculine, but it's not listening and it's not working in unison. You're not finding that middle path that connects the two. That is the union of the two. So you've got United Nations, UN, where they've twisted it into meaning something else, but it is the UN, the coming together. It's UN, you Lord. You are your own Lord. There is nobody greater than you except the collective consciousness of the Creator. We're all just personified versions of that. So, Adam and Eve in the garden, they've had a taste of the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Now they have become self-aware. They have become self-conscious. self-conscious. That is what the symbology of the fig leaf is. In much the same way, you see it on various films, television programs, sick comedies and things where you've got somebody naked and they're like grab something to cover up their sort of lower regions where they're creeping behind bushes. I'm sure you've all seen that in things. Well, that's the self-conscious, the Adam and Eve, the fig leaf again. Go figure, the fig leaf. But it's falling into that is the fall of man into the ego mind, thinking we can do things better. You've only got to look at the insanity of this world and how you've got a ridiculous situation where you've got part of the world that are deliberately kept as have-nots. Then you've got another section that is in the have, which is all material and superficial. You can't take it with you. Even these bodies are just on loan. They belong to this reality, this hell reality, this world of death, as Neville Goddard would describe it, which it is, because everything goes through a cycle and decays, and then the energy is transformed into a new form, but it doesn't ever go, it's contained. Yeah, so the fig leaf represents the ego, the self-conscious, because they now feel shame, they now feel embarrassment. They're not on that middle path. They're banished from the garden, which is here, where the garden is creativity. Garden means to give. This is why you have these massive farms and pharmaceutical, because the root of that is to take. The clues are in these words. They won't give you, as I've said, they won't give you the ultimate answers. That will only come from experience, from feeling. That is what the truth is. It's what you experience and feel within oneself. And we're not disconnected at all. We've just forgotten that connection. This is why it is so important to do so much meditation. I mean, look at the word meditate. It implies middle. It's the middle path again. Meditation at eye on. It's switching this third eye on, as it's called. I don't like the term third eye. I prefer to call it first eye, because it is the high point. It is the centre. It's the eye on the dollar, back of the dollar bill as well. Then you've got your crown above that, because you'll notice that eye is not on the top of that pyramid. It is slightly lower down. It is this region. But oh, what a illusory, sick world we live in. And it's not going to be an easy ride, or not appear to be an easy ride, but you can make it easier on yourself if you go into meditation. Pick up a book as well. Read something that's going to inspire you, that's going to, where you can get lost in the book, where you can get away from the external. It's not just switching off the television set, it's switching off the social media, from all this fear. Don't let it affect you. It is all designed to put you into a negative state, which then causes chemical changes in the body, where you will start to feel even further constricted. You will start to feel unwell. You won't be in high spirits, which you won't get from alcohol either. They are spirit strippers in any form. The demon drink is called that for a very good reason. So, just to recap, En means Lord, En and En, light. En-Light-En-Ment. You can also see where this nonsense comes from, where you're crossing yourself, but it is. Between Caduceus, the angel and the demon, but sometimes we don't know when it's the demon speaking, masquerading as the angel. You have to stay in balance. You have to be informed, formed within. You have to be sane within, inside, to which the external world will think you are insane. Because they're still in this system program, hate what's being done to them, but you can't hate them. They've just been misled. They are conscripts because they have been conned by various scripts. They are unknowing participants in this. It's going to be a very fine balance between a lot more of humanity waking up, and which is going to be offset against the number of people who are going to start dropping down dead. I mean, even this talk of these deliveries of body bags, well, I hope there is, because all these dead bodies about, there's going to be rats and disease, so they do need clearing away. So don't buy into the fear aspects on everything. Stand back, look at the bigger picture. This has to play out this way. It's already written. It is just the creator who has written this great play, and now it is playing out. We've all got to take responsibility for this. Those of you that are on this spiritual path, how many of you have said, I want this all to be over? You could argue it from the point of view of anybody with animal rights, saying they don't want animals being tested. Well, they weren't specific enough in what they were asking for. Well, no, yeah, they are bypassing the animals. You've now got a biological experiment, an untested biological experiment being rolled out on humanity. And because it is an experiment, they need to be tracked and traced to see which is the most effective killing method. Let's be bluntly honest about this. But remember that that is the opposition. But do you see it as an obstacle, or do you have imagination? Do you have creativity? Are you able to stand in your own power? Do you have the convictions, or are you going to have them as two convicts? That choice is yours. How you deal with this, how you perceive things, which way you look at it. Stand on the edge of the coin and see both sides. Take that middle path. Stay neutral. Don't get involved in demonstrations and riots and make yourself a target. You're just leaving yourself open. You're inviting the opposition. But collectively, this is what the Age of Aquarius is all about. It's standing in individual sovereignty and in unison with each other. Sun. Sun. It's raising that Christ consciousness, projecting that light out, changing this reality, because it is all connected, just because it is unseen. Quantum mechanics and the old Piscean ways of physics, of facts and solid. We're dealing with something that is in the unseen, that is connected and flows through everything. It cannot be measured. Science is trying to do things, or has been doing things, from a perspective of the ego mind, from a perspective of man, because it has been divorced off away from the esoteric, away from the spirituality. That is part of what we're here for. We're not here for this fight. We're here for the co-creation that comes afterwards. So it's up to you what you do, but I hope you all stand in your power and remain your authentic self. You've come this far. It's not far to go now. It's going to seem awful, yes, but just feel it inside you. Know that you are the creator. You have the ability and the power to change this reality. Don't think about the sort of near impossible of manifesting and building great big mansions and castles. Start with the small things. Start with your daily life. Start with a meditation. See your day before it's even happened. Create the day that you want. Play these things out in your mind first. Create what you want. You'll bring it. You've got abundance anyway, if you'll just see it all around you. But if you're going to buy into all the fear, then that's what you're going to feel. Or you can go in oneself, and you can feel the power within, and you can meditate and you can bring that up. You can take control of the ego mind. It's not exactly the death of the ego. The ego can be a force for good. It's like that positive and negative good. I mean, good, the way this reality is teaching you, and when you're being good, you're being obedient. That isn't necessarily good, is it? Anyway, there's a lot in this video, but ment, firmament, dimension, enlightenment, government. Think about all these, what is meant to be. Ta-ta for now.